first thing that we have to do as we're starting the male reproductive system is to think overall what are the functions of the reproductive system, whether we're talking male or female.
To reproduce.
To reproduce, right? So the reproductive systems need to be able to create either sperm or egg cells. They need to be able to transport their sperm or egg cells. And then also, one of the functions of the reproductive system is the ability to produce hormones. So in females, they need to be able to produce estrogens. In males, they need to be able to produce testosterone. And then it is those hormones that go to the brain and bind to receptors on the brain and stimulate the sexual behavior and also stimulate the sexual characteristics that identify males as male and females as females. So the development of the body, placement of hair, growth of hair, etc. All of those are stimulated by either the hormones estrogen or the hormones testosterone. And so the reproductive, that is for both the male and female, those are functions of the reproductive system. Now the females have one additional function, and that is they have to have, the reproductive system has to have the ability, place where the egg and the sperm can fertilize, and there also has to be a place where the fertilized egg can then develop, and that's the function the female takes on. First we're going to cover the male. So when we look at the male, the organ that carries on that function of producing the sperm is this organ right here. So this is the testis. If you say it plural, it's testes. And the testis inside is filled with these coiled tubes that we'll look at the lecture on Monday. And within those tubules, they're called seminiferous tubules, that is where the sperm are produced. From these tubules that are inside of the testes, the sperm, as they start to mature, then move into this structure that kind of looks like a comma, and this is called the epididymis. The epididymis. So all of this is the testis, this is the epididymis. From the epididymis, the sperm, they are stored here until the male ejaculates. When the male ejaculates, then the sperm move up this tube right here that is called either the vas deferens or the ductus deferens. And so notice that this tube comes all the way around, it goes the back of the bladder, and it loops around the ureters of the bladder. And we'll see that when we pull out our cats in just a moment and look at the male cats, how this vas deferens or ductus deferens loops around there. And so the sperm are carried through this pathway and then continue through the urethra. Okay. In this model, because all of the models always look different, let me show you the same structures in this model. So if we pick up this model, you can see the testis right here. This right here is the epididymis, where the sperm are stored until they're ejaculated. And then the tube right here that leads away is the vas deferens or ductus deferens. And you can see it coming over here, and then eventually it's going to, if we open this up, we can see that eventually it's going to merge and all of the fluids are going to exit right here through the urethra. Now there's a sac that is located on top of the testis, and it's this, you can see it's made up of skin, 2 muscles, and a little bit of fat, and that is called the scrotum. And the muscles that are, the skin itself of the scrotum helps to protect the scrotum, the testis, from any damage, any kind of blow. And then the muscles that are part of the scrotum contract to regulate the temperature of the testes. Because in order for the sperm to develop normally, the sperm have to be about 1 degree Celsius lower than body temperature. So the testes move up and down based on the temperature, the temperature outside and the male's body temperature. So let's say, for example, that the male goes outside and it's really cold outside. Right away, those 2 muscles contract and pull the testes up closer to the body to try to keep those a little bit, warm, to maintain that body temperature. And then on the opposite is if it's really hot outside, then those muscles relax and the testes tend to hang, a little bit lower than they normally would. So that outside is called the scrotum. There are several different organs that contribute to the fluid that is produced whenever the male ejaculates. We say that the male ejaculates semen, and semen is made up of both sperm and seminal fluid. And so there are the organs that produce that seminal fluid, and I'll describe in detail on Monday, but what the seminal fluid does is it just helps the sperm in its travel through the urethra, the male urethra, and then also through the female reproductive tract, because the sperm survives anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, so it needs some nutrients, it's going through a very acidic environment, et cetera, et cetera. So in order to survive that trip, it has to have some fluids that accompany the sperm. And so those fluids are secreted by this gland right here that is called the seminal vesicle. They are paired glands, so there's one right here. If we could see on the other side, there'd be the equivalent. On this model right here, the seminal vesicle is this number 5. So can you see this one right here? This is the seminal vesicle on this model. So that helps to contribute some of the fluids. So when the male ejaculates, the fluids from the sperm, the fluids from the seminal vesicle and the sperm come together. And this short little piece right here, number 6 on the